Chamber of Haunters, uniting the haunt industry.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to our July Lunch and Learn. I am Keoni Hutton, one of the hosts of the Haunting You podcast, and I am super excited to be facilitating this conversation today. Big thanks to all of the, I'm going to say, chaos we have had in the last week. Oh my gosh, it has been such a wonderful couple of months since we were last here with you on these Lunch and Learns. And a ton has happened, so we want to talk about it. We've had, unfortunately, the guests that we have had lined up have had other conflicts and have not been able to join us. So today we are pivoting. We are going to talk about the Texas Haunters Convention that many of us just came back from and had such a wonderful time. I am here with the president of the Chamber of Haunters, Miss Kimberley Grant. Her husband, Joshua Grant, is here as well. And we're going to be just kind of talking about what we experienced at Texas Haunters Convention. Yeah, so there we go. Kimberley, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am fantastic. Have you recovered from the trip yet?
Absolutely not. No. I think that, it was such an amazing experience. I mean, Texas Haunters Convention does a fantastic job, and every year they get better. And this year was no exception to that. It was such a great experience, such amazing vendors. The staff is just so wonderful, and of course, you get to meet all of your friends there, and you get to meet even more friends. And so it becomes quite the social club, and it really is one of my favorite times of year, and it's my favorite convention. So
yeah,
I'm tired.
Yeah, seeing all of my friends is definitely one of the high points for me going to a convention. I'm going to start a poll real quick because I want to hear from all of our listeners as well. What is your favorite part of going to a convention or trade show? So feel free to drop it on the box or drop it on the poll box as we can continue our discussion. Now, I want to talk first a little bit. You guys had a bit of a drive to get there because you came from Florida and brought a whole bunch of stuff with you as well. Talk a little bit about what it took for you and Josh to get there.
A tremendous amount of caffeine.
Really, it wasn't all that bad. I went to the airport and I was there in 3 hours. I mean, I don't know what he's complaining about. No, I mean, it was quite the experience. We did a 20 by 20 haunt, and so it was. When you say a 20 by 20, you don't realize how much goes into that.
It doesn't sound that big.
Yeah, it really doesn't. That's just really 2 pop-ups, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But when
four pop-ups.
4 pop-ups. Sorry.
Yeah.
But when you break that down into the building of it and the implementation of the special effects and everything that we did, it was a lot. It was a lot. It was
no kidding.
We had a phenomenal team over at FinaFX that we could not have done it without. And it was months of teamwork. And
who actually built it?
FinaFX
depends on your definition of built. There's the actual construction, and you're looking at them. And then there's the assembly, there's the planning and all of that.
What went into creating that haunt offsite? That then it sounds like you just packed it up and then dragged it over and reassembled it. So, who did all of that work?
All of FinaFX, every single
FinaFX.
Yeah, it really was. It was Dennis Van Landet. He did all of our engineering for any of our special effects, anything, the fog chiller, all of that. That was all Dennis. You had Brian Cummings, who I don't know how many hours that poor man put into welding and putting up walls and all of that. And then you had, numerous hours of decorating with Michelle Branham and Alexander Lloyd. And, Josh was out there every single solitary day for 4 straight months in putting it all together. So it was a huge team. And then when it was all built and everything, of course, it had to be broken down. And then you had everybody from the Chamber of Haunters. You had Dennis Moyer, Joshua Bone, they were all on site, putting it all back together. So building it, breaking it down, transporting it, and then reconstructing it, then breaking it down, and then bringing it back to Florida. Josh can go into all the specs and everything about it, but there was so much planning, because if you saw with the walls, all of our electrical were through walls, so you couldn't even see it. So there was a lot that went through it, and we could not have done it without the team that we had, honestly.
Dennis Moore points out breaking our backs in particular.
Yeah,
I was very impressed, because Leslie and I got there to start setting up our booth like 10:30 on Friday, and by like half an hour after the floor opens, you guys are already at work trying to put this thing together. When did you guys start, and how long did it take to assemble?
We were actually allowed to go in Thursday evening to unload the truck. And that helped tremendously, because we could stage everything in about the areas that we needed to have them. Were the
like curtains and rods and everything set up already, or were you able to just kind of drive on, drop everything, and go?
I'm sorry, I missed that. You sort of fuzzed out on me.
Sorry about that.
First part.
Were the curtains and rods in the convention center already set up, like outlining where all of the booths were, or were you able to just drive in and had all of this open space to work with?
No, everything was laid out. Everything was ready to go. There was no driving into the convention center. There was, thankfully this year we were able, because we had a rather large 26-foot Penske truck, able to utilize one of the bays. You know, you've got to have a truck at a certain height in order to be able to use the bays. Otherwise, because your U-Haul isn't going to do you any good there. So we lucked out there. There was a stroke of good luck for us, because I was not looking forward to carting all that stuff in. And again, a huge shout out to Brian Cummings, who was able to modify those carts for us so that we could actually move, 5, 6, 7 of these wall panels at the same time, instead of hefting them in one by one. And that was just, we did that last year, and that was not fun.
I bet. Michelle Reed commented, it was great teamwork with people some of us just met. And I think that's a key point here. Like, you had people, members from the chamber coming from all over the country, came together to make this haunted house happen. Who was leading the charge, coordinating all of the different pieces, herding the cats, if you will, whatever analogy you like? Who took the lead on it?
I had the plan. I knew exactly what we were going to do. I had it all written out. And then I needed somebody pretty with personality to actually interact with people, because that was not where I was going to be.
I'm glad you didn't call me.
I'm Chief Cat Herder. But when you're working with such skilled individuals, what I found remarkable was, as Michelle said, the chamber didn't necessarily know the members of PhoenFX. PhoenFX did not necessarily know the members of the chamber. And so when they all got together and met, it was like everybody had known each other for years, and they had a friendship and a common goal, and watching them all come together was just an amazing thing, because as Josh said, he had the plan. He wrote it out in the most IKEA sense way, with all of, which panel goes to which panel, and everything was covered and, color coded and all of that. But which was remarkable in itself, that he was able to turn over to those plans to a team of people that have never constructed this together. And they were able to do it. So to answer your question, the building portion of it started at about 9:00 that Friday morning. And we finished at about 5:30 that night.
Which is not bad for putting together a 20 by 20 haunt.
No.
Not for the first time. Not for a bunch of people who've never done it before and trying to decipher my chicken scratch.
Your plans, were they all like handwritten and then photocopied, or did you actually use some sort of architectural software? Or
you must think I am a lot younger than what I am. Oh no. All of my plans were done in true Dungeons and Dragons style on graph paper and markers.
There's my haunt plan for
That
this year.
would be it. Yes, sir.
You get it.
I totally get it. That's how I start every single haunt that I build, because I like being able to, erase lines and move them around as I need to, and then I go and build a computer model after that because I am younger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not young, but Talk a little bit about. Dennis Van Luntz is offering. He will make engineering drawings happen. So if anyone wants engineering drawings, reach out to him. He can hook you up. Talk a little bit about like the special effects that you had in there. Talk through like why did you choose to use what you did? Because I think the fact that we were in a convention hall, lighting was a factor, matters. So talk through your thought process a little.
Well, this was actually a plan that we've had going for a couple of years now. To kind of go back into a little bit of FiendFX history, the Harville family, who we had the mausoleum after, was actually one of our first and most consistent donors. Every month they help fund us a little bit more, and so what we did was we built a story, and it all starts with a story. We built a story around the Harville family. Now, none of it's true, but it's just true enough where if you were to look up the facts, you can kind of trace lines here and there.
But you're saying the family is a real family.
The family is a real family.
Yeah.
They are not necromancers, but they're a real family.
Are you sure? Reasonably sure.
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to since we're going in public and this is going to last forever on the internet, I'm going to say yes. I am very sure there are not necromancers.
And you want to continue encouraging them to support FiendFX?
Absolutely, and not kill us to raise us again.
Right.
But again, it all started with the story, and we had to build the effects around the story. The story starts off in a mausoleum, and actually before the mausoleum, but it's a far more involved story than what a 20 by 20 would allow us.
Sure.
So this aspect started off in the mausoleum, and we needed to have some sort of intro video. And so that's exactly what I did. I put together an intro video that was, I wanted it a little reminiscent of like the Blair Witch Project. So I did it off of a newscast. And I think it worked out really well. I think people enjoyed it. I think we'll probably do things different next year, seeing how the flow went this year. Most of the decisions, as a caveat, that I made for effects was based off of our attendance last year. Probably not the best starting point. Yeah,
I was
now we
ask,
know.
How did attendance compare from last year to this year?
Ms. Kimberley,
there was
do you
no
want to handle
comparison.
this one?
There was no comparison. A matter of fact, Dennis, both Dennises. I have two Dennises. I have the vice president of the chamber, who is Dennis Moyer, and Dennis Van Landet, who is our technical advisor, our chief engineer, and my confidant. So when I have a meltdown or get myself locked in a truck, I run to Dennis. So the Dennises were so overwhelmed that we had the intro video, but we didn't have time. There were so many people that wanted to come through. And so we had to kind of, modify on the spot and get people moving forward. Because there was so much that they wanted to see, so much that they wanted to touch and feel, and people had so many questions that, there was no comparison between last year and this year, and boy, did we learn a lot. A lot.
Did anyone keep track of how many people went through?
No, and I could calculate that, but oh my gosh, I
more than you anticipated.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We typically will use the intro video to help mitigate lines, right? So you don't get that whole conga line.
You're not getting a conga line. Yeah.
That failed miserably this time. It just did not work. So we're going to have to recalculate that. But with that being said, so as you went past the intro video, which told the story of Chad Weston, the urban explorer who found this abandoned mausoleum. He was going to go exploring, as urban explorers do. And then suddenly how he's disappeared, nobody can find him, blah, blah, blah. Walk into the mausoleum aspect of it, and what we had were 2 video screens that I was able to build small boxes out of and inset into the wall, so they just look like framed pictures.
Yeah.
And these video screens had Atmos effects, living portraits, or unliving portraits as they're called. And Atmos did a fantastic job of doing it. They were one of our sponsors for a couple of years now. And they're just fantastic group for what they do. And it worked out really, really well. The thing that I really like about the recordings, they're stable. So you don't have to worry about glitches. You don't have to worry about any of that. On the rare occasion, you'll have to reload it. But that didn't happen at all during this season. And then the last time that we used them for long periods of time, we didn't have to worry about that. It was all in the testing that we had to update it. I think that was more of a hardware issue than a software issue. Speaking
of the hardware, what were you using to play the videos?
Well, we were using little Numi players.
Yeah.
Numis are fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah, there's the bad boys. It's funny. So we started off using Raspberry Pis, and then they got really expensive and kind of hard to find. So we went finding I want to say a cheaper, but a less expensive version. Numis came in, and bam! I mean, they're beautiful.
I freaking love these things. Not only are they, like you say, incredibly stable, they can be programmed so that they start up immediately as soon as they receive power. So I don't have to worry about going through and resetting them on my Haunt every day. And they're triggerable, and they're like $30. Like, absolutely, to get a triggerable video player at that price point, freaking love these.
It's amazing.
I have many.
And the biggest advantage for us is that, as you said, they could be programmed to start up immediately. So we plug everything in. All we had to do was literally just plug that box in. Everything would power up, and that video would start exactly where it ended the last time it powered down. I didn't have to go through menus or anything like that. It saved me so many headaches, especially, and I'll admit this, I couldn't find the remotes. Yeah, I know, right?
Yes.
So that Numi saved our rear ends in that regards.
In case you need one next time.
Oh yeah, well,
I had one.
Thank you. The next time I lose one on site, I'll give you a call. You can
appreciate it.
Send it to me via carrier version.
I'll send you a picture.
Anyway, there's the old guy again pressing buttons on his screen. Can't figure out why things aren't working. So rounding those corners, we had some really kind of nice, not special effects, but some decorative aspects. We did some carved foam. We had a couple of gargoyles that were looking really good. We had a lot of the Harville family, their nameplates all over. Brought us into the thrusting coffin. It was something that I wanted to do. It didn't turn out exactly the way I wanted it, but it turned out good enough. It really kind of had the effect I was hoping for. And that the mechanism was provided by Hallucinations Creations. And
very much enjoy their booth every time.
They do a fantastic job. Again, really reliable, really basic. And if you ever have a question or anything, it's so easy just to drop them a line or call them up, and they're right there on it. And that coffin just ran all day long without hesitation, without an issue. It was awesome.
That was a wiper motor powering it, I presume.
Yes. Yeah. And it's just a slow spin, so it goes back and forth, but it was just fantastic. Again, I come back to the stability issue. If things are quirky, that's one thing, but if they're not stable, I just can't. I don't have time for them. I've got too many things going on for something that's not going to work the way I need it to work.
Yeah. And walking past that all day long for 2 days straight, like most haunts are not open as long as this convention was open. You needed something that was going to be consistent, running for 12, 14 hours a day.
Absolutely. Through all the testing, through the tear down, everything, it had to work, and it had to work as designed.
Yeah.
And Hallucination Creations, man, they hit it bang on for us, and at a price point lower than most of the others at that thing. So for a nonprofit, that's really useful.
Huge.
Now, going through there, and then we started going through the rest of the mausoleum into the catacomb. And the catacombs were a lot of fun to do because they were all scenic. There wasn't much in the way of special effects, right? So we had boards, and we had great stuff, foam in there, all painted up to look like dirt, skeletons embedded in there. One of the fun things that we had were the tiki torches, which were all electric, powered by LEDs, but we were able to 3D print the flames to sit on top of that.
And
so it actually kind of looked like it was flaming.
Yeah.
Those were awesome. People love them. I love them.
I'm stealing that idea and using it in mine. Absolutely.
Please do. Please do. It's not even stealing. I'll give you the idea.
Appreciate that. One of the things I love about the chamber.
So coming around the corner, it brought us into, now I honestly was hoping it was going to be a little darker, but it wasn't. But nonetheless, we had, and I see Dennis just popped up down there, Dennis Van Landen. He was the man behind all of the inner workings of that laser tunnel with all of the fog and the laser and all of that. And one of the things that we had to figure out was how to have those mechanisms in there, but not causing a hazard of any sort.
Yeah.
Whether it's the tripping hazard or you're a safety hazard of some sort, or what we would consider an attractive nuisance. Oh, look at that. I'm going to reach over and I'm going to play with it. I'm going to try to take it home with me. Right. We had to protect from all of that. And Dennis, that man right there, Dennis Van Landen, he was the one who figured out how to do it. I asked him, I said, how do we do this? And he says, I got this. We'll take care of it. Okay, go. And he did. And it worked out beautifully well.
I was so incredibly impressed with the fog chiller that you designed, Dennis. The thickness of the smoke that you were able to create, how it stayed low rather than heating up and immediately floating off. It was very impressive. And I appreciate you sharing some of your secrets that I'm going to just briefly discuss. Ultrasonic coolers, as opposed to like trying to use ice or something else. So it's easier to clean up. You don't have to worry about replacing the ice throughout these long days of show. It was super cool. I'm very impressed.
Well, I can't take credit for it. I actually got the idea from Eric Roberts. So he's got a YouTube channel called Into Coasters.
There we go.
If you search Roberts Fogger on YouTube, he gives you all the instructions.
And I know what I'm going to be doing after this lunch and learn.
But one thing you got to watch out for is you will get water in your vent tube. So you have to have a drain. Otherwise, your fan is going to get filled up with water.
Good to know. Thank you for that. See, getting all kinds of good tips.
Very effective.
It was incredibly effective. I was very impressed. And
I think Tater at Froggy's was impressed as well.
Yeah, that's saying something. Yeah. I think my only disappointment with that space was the fact that we couldn't fully enclose it, make it darker so you could see the laser more easily. But the fire marshal was being quite particular on overhead coverings to make sure that the sprinklers would be effective throughout the convention hall.
Got to make the fire marshal happy.
If we had
safety, got to make the fire marshal happy.
If we had practiced this a little bit more and knew the exact conditions, I probably would have made the laser a little bit lower so that it would have been more in line with the fog.
Yeah.
We still had a pretty good effect.
I agree. 100% agree.
He's being modest. I was the idiot who set it up at my shoulder height and not his.
So I was about to say, so the funny backstory on that is the guys were all trying to set the laser, in which Dennis had to print the holder for the laser so that it would be stable and not get knocked around. And so while all of the guys, I think it was Brian and Dennis and Josh and one of our other team members, Dell, were all in. And who did they pick? They picked the tallest guy to set where it should be. And I'm like, come on, really?
Never again.
So that was special.
yeah, hilarious. Talk real quick about the drop panel, because there was no compressed air, right? But that was an automatic drop panel.
That was an automatic drop panel. we
Kind of.
so in transit, the trigger broke, and we didn't have a spare one, unfortunately. So we had to have one of our team members hiding in that little closet, that little boo closet in there, to press the button every time that thing went by, and it worked out well. It worked out well. She enjoyed herself.
Moving the window though.
Oh, it's all pneumatics back there.
So it was pneumatic.
Yeah, Dennis is the one who set that up as well.
And that's actually from Fright Props. We got a kit from them. Was it from Texas Hunters or was it from Transworld?
Transworld.
And we put it together a little over a year ago, and it worked great at our previous hunt. And for some reason, the trigger wasn't working. So Michelle Branham was our trigger. She was watching in her little space.
She literally sat in there for like 2 days pressing a button. She came back with a big bruise on her finger, and we kept saying, she has a trigger finger.
Michelle, your efforts are definitely appreciated.
She had a ball scaring the big burly guy.
I love that. Michelle, I saw you raise your hand. Did you want to comment?
No. I raising my hand because it was me that was hiding in that box.
Yeah. Well, I think the haunted house was definitely a high point for most of the attendees who came through to Texas. Dennis, you pointed out that the line to get into the haunt was blocking the aisle in the aisle through the convention floor from the moment that the convention opened. And every time I walked by there, you guys had a line waiting for people to get in. Do you have any? I asked you that already. If you had any estimate on how many people went through, but it would not surprise me if it was everybody who came.
It was definitely hundreds, but
hundreds, yeah.
If not more than 1,000.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, that was definitely the high point for me. There was a ton of other stuff to see out there on the show floor. Kimberley, any particular booths or vendors stick out in your mind as particularly memorable?
There were a few that I thought were absolutely fantastic. There and one in particular, when you go and you have this walkthrough, we didn't have much time as a family, a haunt family to do much together. But we did have the opportunity on, I think it was Saturday night, to visit the Beaumont Hotel. And you were with us, and it was, they had a booth at the convention.
Definitely a highlight.
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. I encourage anybody that is in Texas, that if they want to do an advanced sort of escape room, let's call it that. And it was the most fun experience after a long day to be doing with your friends and family. And they were incredible. There again, you look at the floor of that convention and the amount of talent on it, whether it was from the new props or new controllers. What were, Dennis, do you remember their name offhand?
That was Prop Experience. They gave me a sample to play with, and I'm very excited.
Unbelievable. They spent a tremendous amount of time talking with us and going over the new controllers that they're coming out with. I love the idea that they're developing something that we could even have someone like Dennis call into the controller remotely, because unfortunately, when you're working with somebody, and this is obviously not his primary job, but if he was out, actually at his professional job, he could call in if we were having an issue. I mean, that's phenomenal if you think about it for somebody like us.
That's exactly like what piqued my interest, because I do a lot of prop building for a local arcade, and it's about an hour away from me. And I love the idea that I could log in and troubleshoot from home, see what's going on without ever having to go out there and troubleshoot there. Like, I'm very excited about this and can't wait to start playing with this.
I mean, there was just, and again, Hallucination Creations, I can't say enough about their props. I really can't. We also had, the skeleton that was on the wall that was moving. That was from Hallucination Creations. Again, Froggy's Fog. I mean, how could you go wrong with their machines? They're just, there's so many talented people. And when you get that many vendors in the room that bring their A game, it's such an incredible feeling to be able to work with these people on a regular basis. You feel really honored,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And everything about it. But Texas puts on that level of a show, and the fact that we were really welcomed into that with the walkthrough, it was such a great experience.
Yeah. Josh, how about you? Any vendors jump out in your mind?
You are not going to like what I have to say about this.
No, you were too busy with the haunt. You didn't see any of them.
And that's actually the truth. I was teaching all day Saturday, and
yeah.
By the time Sunday hit, I was so tired. I was just kind of hanging out in the haunt, and they said, "Oh, this isn't nearly as busy." And I'm like shoveling people through, trying to what do you mean this isn't nearly as busy? What did you guys go through yesterday?
Yeah.
There was not enough caffeine for me to deal with that effectively. I managed to do it and stay socially acceptable, but I don't ever want to repeat that. I unfortunately did not get to walk the floor, which I was sad about.
That is too bad, because I think you missed some super cool vendors. I have to give a shout out to Resurrect Costumes, who I'm wearing today, because I just love everything that they do. I've bought I've got a doctor's jacket from them, a nurse's costume, their straight jackets. I love them. They're reasonably priced, especially for home haunters, but still very high quality, super cool costumes. We'll never stop talking about Resurrect because they're super freaking cool. I loved also the zombie zapper. They're like these cattle prod, super loud, arcing and sparking cattle prod looking things that Scare Innovations makes. I so badly want one. They're like they say it's like 90 decibels, very loud, very disturbing.
Yeah, I was hearing them throughout
right?
the convention. It was really difficult to to hide from it. The acoustics were fantastic.
But and then
above the din,
Haunt Saw with they've got very loud chainsaws, and then their new Scream Stick, which is like a head on a stick with the most ear-splitting banshee wail I can imagine. Like, no matter where I was in the building, I could hear them.
Oh my God, was that what I was hearing?
I think that's what you were hearing. Yeah,
because I did hear, years ago we purchased something called like a death scream whistle or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm going
just like that.
Yeah, and I'm listening to this. I'm going, somebody has them here. We've got to go find more, but I couldn't find it. So, wow,
that was actually much louder. I saw a video on Facebook of it later on, and it was much louder than the Aztec death whistle.
Yeah. I did see someone who was doing 3D printed Aztec death whistles as well, not far from Hansaw's booth. But oh my gosh, my ears were vibrating. That Scream Stick was so loud.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was super cool. Price point is a little high for me, but it's super cool. And I love the idea of just putting one of those out in the woods.
Right.
Because if just walking anywhere on my property, you hear that thing out in the woods, and he says he's working on a remote control version. Yeah. Say it again, Dennis.
That would be perfect for a professional haunt.
Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. And he's working on a triggerable version as well. So you can be standing anywhere else and it happens over there.
I love that.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely love it. But Josh, you mentioned that you were teaching much of the convention. Were you running the Ghost program classes?
I was.
Talk a little bit about it.
About the Ghost program, the Global Haunt Operational and Safety Training.
Yeah, give us kind of an overview of the Ghost program for anyone who doesn't know, and then talk about how the classes went in person.
Okay. So Ghost, or as I said, the Global Haunt Operational Safety Training certification program is, as of right now, broken into 5 different sections. We have a fire safety for small and home haunts. We've got crowd management, unarmed security, and then we get into the nitty gritty of it. We've got the special events permit, and then you've got the fire marshal's permit. Which you want to talk about nightmares? Yeah, it was bad enough to teach, man.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But each addresses very specific areas of a haunt that maybe a haunt owner wouldn't, especially when you're dealing with a home haunt or a garage haunt, wouldn't necessarily consider. But it's, if you hope to grow, you need to have this information at your fingertips. What we did at Texas Haunters was present sort of an abbreviated, distilled version of what we have online at the Chamber of Haunters. You get a lot more information online. You get more time to take it. But you don't have me talking. So
that's it. There's something to be said about having a teacher there that you can ask questions to and interact with as you're going through the topic.
And even afterwards, it was one of the things that I did on Sunday was one of the students came down and they had some questions. And so instead of me just trying to lecture my way out of it, I showed them exactly what we were talking about.
Yeah, sure. And having the haunt there to use as an example of what we're talking about.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So you've offered the Ghost program at Texas before, correct?
No.
So that was brand new this year.
This was the first time that we've offered it at Texas.
Okay. Yeah. And I assume it went well, and you'll be bringing it back again next year?
We will definitely be bringing it again next year. I'm going to do some revamping on it. It was the first time that we had taught the material, so it wasn't well timed for the space that we had.
Sure.
But in writing the live version versus the online version, I came across some new material that I want to add to the online version that I think is going to be useful.
Yeah.
But I'm going to sort of distill it down again, make it fit into that 55 minute block with a lot less rambling. You laugh. You've never heard me teach. It is quite the experience. I used to teach 12-hour seminars. And in order to do a 12-hour seminar, you have to fill it with a lot of stories. And there were a lot of stories to be told, but
it's hard to fit that into a 50-minute seminar.
Yeah, exactly. But we were able to do all 5 classes in one day with still a little bit of time so people could go out and check out the convention floor.
Yeah.
Which was nice.
Definitely
Everybody but me.
I was very disappointed because I wasn't able to make it to any of the classes because I was so busy on the convention floor.
Oh, that's terrible.
I know.
It's a good thing you know a guy.
I do know a guy, and I can find all of those classes so conveniently on Scared You.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so for anyone else who was not able to make it to the Ghost program, go check it out on Scared You through the Chamber of Haunters.
There you go.
Little plug in there.
Oh, thank you.
Kimberly, I have to circle back on something you said earlier. You mentioned getting locked in a truck.
Right.
I think we need to tell this story.
Twice.
I just heard a cackle. It was cackling.
So, you never know what's going to happen during a haunt. You really don't. And this was no exception to the rule. So we needed an extension cord. And I didn't want to leave. I didn't, there was no way I could pull Michelle or Josh or Dennis away because we were inundated with people. And so I said, I'll run to the truck and I'll get the extension cord. And I ran to the truck and I pushed the rolling door up, and I didn't want it to go way up because then I wouldn't be able to close it. So I got into the truck, and the next thing I know, it fell down. And so then I couldn't get the rolly bit back up. So now I'm trying to call the Dennises. And of course I can't call Josh because he's upstairs. And so I knocked on the door, and thankfully somebody was on the loading deck and they opened the door. Geez. So just in case that wasn't enough, I get back to the booth. Here's the extension cord. And they're like, oh, well, we actually need a surge protector as well. And I'm like, of course you do, And so I went back to the truck and I did the same thing all over again. So, in case I didn't learn my lesson the first time, I had to go through it the second time.
I'd say there's something to be said here about learning from your
Consistency,
mistakes.
And then just in case that wasn't enough, like I was determined not to do that again. And so when I went in, I left the keys inside the truck, and then I came out and locked the truck with the keys inside the truck.
Oh, jeez.
So I don't think my team will ever allow me to go. I don't think
anywhere
so.
near the
I
truck
think
again.
I'm banned for life. I think every single one of you, every single one of them will tell you that Kimberly is not the one to go to the truck.
Yeah. Sunday morning, I'm talking with, I do not recall his name, but someone from the convention staff. And Kimberly comes up and is like, "Do you have bolt cutters?" And like, no good conversation starts with, "Do you have bolt cutters?"
Never. And go ahead, ask me how we got the lock off to get the keys.
Kimberly, do tell. How did you?
So
get the
one
lock
of the wonderful convention people got me a Dremel. And Josh went out there and Dremeled the lock off in order to rescue the keys.
A Dremel with a cutting disc.
3.
Yep.
Ouch.
Just me, a pair of sunglasses, and a whole lot of sparks.
Memories.
Yeah. Michelle says you are no longer allowed to go alone.
That is the new rule. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, we are going to have to develop an emergency kit with a battery-powered Dremel.
Ooh.
Because this Dremel that we were provided was a plug-in. Well, there's no plugs out there. So I had to pull one of our power supplies from the effects, get them plugged into the radio thing, trot that thing right on out there, plug it in, and cut away. Those locks that they have on there, believe it or not, they're pretty sturdy.
Yeah, they're very sturdy.
Who would have
Not
thought?
me. Not me.
You should definitely write to the lock company and let them know just how appreciative you are of the quality of their products.
Yeah, it took me about 10 minutes to cut through it. That was awesome. Thank you. We'll be buying your locks again.
Michelle wants to know who let you out, Kimberly, and what did he ask before he opened the door? Does that mean anything to you?
I knocked, and it was actually one of the dock employees that let me out. And I knocked, and he said, "Who is it?" And I said, "It's the Penske truck." And he stood there, and I'm like, "No, I'm not joking. I'm actually locked inside the truck." And he's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." And he rolled it up immediately. And yeah, he thought,
oh my God.
I guess at a Haunters convention,
you got to be sure. You never know who you're opening the door for.
Case, he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "No, I'm sorry that I even had to ask." And so then, of course, I became a repeat offender. And he said, "Has somebody taken away your keys from you yet?" If I had only listened to that, we would not have had the third episode of me locking the keys inside.
Locking everything in the car. Yeah, exactly. Michelle, I see your hand up. Did you want to jump in?
No. I was just about to. I don't even see that my hand is raised. I'm sorry.
Fair. It's okay. We love to hear from you anyway. The beyond the show floor, beyond the classes, the convention had a ton of other stuff that was going on as well. Did you make it to any of the other events that were happening? The costume ball or anything else?
We did not. We were so busy either building, preparing, or resting. Because again, from Florida, it was a long drive. It took Josh 25 hours just to get home from Texas.
Wow. Remind me, where in Florida
Central,
are you? How far down
Central
the peninsula?
Florida.
Central. Yeah.
Just south of Orlando.
So it took him 25 hours to get home. And of course, in everything that happens, there was a governor on the truck. So it was set at 60 miles an hour. So you can only imagine a 26-foot Penske.
Chug.
It was a long, like for me, it was just 3 hours, but for Josh, it was, and he did it all by himself. So, it was a long trip. So we were either recovering but they put on such a great show with their make and takes and all of the classes that they had. I encourage anybody, if they haven't been to Texas Haunters, it's a phenomenal show. They offer
it
so
really
much.
is. We try to go to a different show every year, just to, always trying to spread the audience, right? Get more people listening to the Haunting You podcast, which you can find at hauntingyou.com, by the way. But what I loved about Texas was they had the kind of people that I want to find. They have haunters there. They have people who enjoy horror. They have everyone from, the little trick-or-treaters, the haunters that we want to inspire, all the way up to people who have been doing it for 30, 40, 50 years. It was such a diverse level of attendance, but all the kind of people that are into the haunt industry.
It really
was
is.
outstanding.
And that is typical every year, and they grow bigger and better every single year. And I just can't say enough about it. I really can't.
Seriously. So this is surely not the first convention that you have vended at, perhaps the first one that you've built a whole haunted house for. But for people who are thinking about going to conventions in the future, or thinking about vending at a convention in the future, what are some of the lessons learned that you take away that you would suggest to people as they prepare for 2 days at a convention?
I would always encourage people to go to before vending at a convention, make sure you walk the convention floor and find booths that you really resonate with, that really, pulls on your heartstrings, because that's what's going to inspire you to do it and keep coming back from doing it, because there's so many talented people in the haunt industry. And when you go around to the different booths, down to, we had the mirrors at this booth. I don't know if you saw it, but yes,
the fog mirrors. Yeah. You look at these mirrors and it looks like an ordinary mirror, but if you fog it up just a little bit, there's a secret message written on the mirror, completely invisible until the fog hits it.
It was really, really neat how she did her booth. And then you have, everybody else had a different take on how they put their booth together. So I would encourage somebody to go to as many conventions as they can before vending and find really what they like, because if they're happy with it, they're going to put more into it, and the audience that they will attract will be just as interested because of the effort that you put in.
Yeah, absolutely. We did something new at this convention that we've never done before. We held a raffle. I had gotten hold of these 4 horror themed hooded sweatshirts when an FYE, for your entertainment, went out of business, and we're like, hey, this would be a great opportunity to raffle these off. We thought about doing it on the podcast. Instead, we did it at the convention, and like having something to engage the audience who were coming out to the convention, to make them want to stop by, to talk to you, to engage with whoever was there at the booth. That made a huge difference for us. It was awesome.
Absolutely. One of the things that when you're vending that you have to keep in mind is that everybody around you is vending too.
Yeah.
So you need something to capture their attention. The dude
How do you
with scream
stand out
sticks,
from the booth around you?
Yeah, exactly. So there's got to be something that really kind of draws people in, even if it's just for a moment, because all you need is that moment to start up a conversation, and suddenly that moment turns into minutes, and that minutes may turn into a sale. It may turn into a new customer or a new client or a new whatever.
Or even just
but you've got to grab their attention.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. Like, we met a couple of cool people. We run a podcast, right? And our podcast is specifically about building haunted houses, which is, I'm going to say, a fairly niche topic, right? And so we go to some conventions, Summer Scream, which I love Midsummer Scream. Do not get me wrong. One of my favorite shows, absolutely. But it is very like horror centric, right? It's right there in the movie industry. You get a ton of people who love that, and they're not looking for how do you build a haunted house podcast, or a podcast about building haunted houses. They want paranormal or spooky stories or whatever, right? But it was kind of cool. I met a couple of podcasters here at Texas who do that sort of thing. So like Talk in the Night podcast is the host stopped by. He was chatting with us. He gave us a couple of cards, and we ended up developing a very cool partnership where when people would stop by and ask, hey, do you tell ghost stories or what? I'm like, well, no, that is not what we do. However, go check out this other podcast. This might be right up your alley. So like, even we were able to develop some new contacts that will hopefully help us get our name out more. It'll help them get their name out more. And that's just the kind of opportunity that would not come up otherwise if we didn't come to these conventions, didn't put our name out there, didn't interact with as many people as we can.
That's what's fantastic about the show that Texas puts on, is that it really is a networking opportunity for people. And I know there honestly, there isn't a show out there that I dislike. But Texas for me connects more people. I think that they provide that opportunity, and I don't know why, but they really do. And so it does become a networking show, and it's fantastic. It really is. The relationships that you build just continue to go on for years.
Absolutely. I put up that poll at the start of our lunch and learn today. What's your favorite part of going to a convention or trade show? Number one answer was networking. That is really what people are looking for. Other things, seeing the vendors, seeing the cool products. Absolutely. I always do a little bit of shopping, probably more than I intend to every time, but it really is all about the networking.
And I think that's what I love about the chamber. A lot of it, I get to connect people with other people. And that always makes me happy when I can do that, because if we can help somebody solve even a small problem, then somebody is going to have a great learning experience with a better outcome.
Yeah. And I think one of my favorite things is being able to connect our listeners to all of these cool vendors who, like you're saying, help them solve a problem. They don't know that they need this product, or they have this thing that they've been trying to do. Who makes something that will help me do that? Well, that's why we love doing all of these vendor spotlights and showcasing what we think is very cool, and hopefully our listeners are thinking is cool as well.
Absolutely. And it's one of the things that we tried to do with the walkthrough was not just to showcase, a vendor's product, but to show it in its natural environment.
How is it being used?
Exactly. And I think that has a greater appeal to people. People can see in their mind's eye how they want it to look, but to actually see it in action is very different. It's very different.
Absolutely. We talked about a ton of stuff today. Kind of the logistics of getting there, the classes, the show floor, everything else that was happening. There was the costume ball, there were daily door prizes, there's costume repair, the karaoke. Probably the scariest thing that I saw on the show floor was some of the karaoke performances. How did you guys were right there next to the stage? Did that interfere with your ability to run the walkthrough, to run the haunted house, to interact with people?
No, it really wasn't. It really.
No, the screeching in the background fit the environment perfectly.
Yeah.
The problem is when somebody would get on stage and actually have a good voice.
Then it did create a problem, because people would stop right at the exit because they'd want a good view of them. Yeah.
Because they're watching instead of.
It really wasn't a problem, and I think a lot of people had fun, and it was good. It was fun.
Agreed. I wanted to talk about this because this is something that I have not seen at any other show. This show is catering to children in a way that I have seen nowhere else. And I was very impressed.
I love that. I mean, one of the things that we do at FX is that a lot of the designs that go into their work is to make sure that we have a walkthrough environment that is conducive to a child perhaps that has autism or some sort of sensory issue. They've been known to immediately drop the actors to the floor so that a child can go through without having that sensory overload. And the same goes with our vets. There's a lot of vets that want to go through these haunted houses and such, but they have PTSD. And so, any loud noises or anything like that could trigger it. Same thing with epilepsy or heart patients or anything like that. So when Josh is designing a lot of our houses, that's one of the things to keep in mind is the smallest child, and making sure that they could go through and have fun without being overloaded by the special effects and such. And I don't get me wrong, there's a time and a place, and some of these pro haunts are absolutely freaking fantastic, and you can't even come close to the scares that they produce. But I would agree with you. Texas is very child friendly. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. Not just child friendly, but really catering to families, which I think opens up so many more people that could potentially come to this.
It absolutely can. I think they've done a fantastic job at doing it and really opening the doors for even an underrepresented population. You know, when we think about scare houses, we think of essentially 18 and over.
Yeah,
you know, all of us running scare houses, we love that 14 to 17 age group. You know, the little girls running together, they scream all the time. It makes great advertising. But in reality, we're not thinking about the kids. We're not thinking about the older generations, the octogenarians. We're not thinking about veterans or sensory sensitivities. All of these populations get severely underrepresented. A convention like Texas Haunters starts opening those doors and allowing, you know, a broader population to really enjoy something that is, quite frankly, a very normal aspect of life.
Absolutely. We're coming up on an hour here, so I think we will be wrapping this up. Before we do, though, I want to know, do you have, this may be too strong a word, do you have any regrets? Is there something you wish you could have done that you didn't have an opportunity to do? What are you looking forward to next year?
Finding somebody else to drive the truck.
Yes, I agree with that. But I have to say, I have absolutely no regrets about this year's walkthrough. I think that with the time that we had to pull it off, we did an incredible job. The team, I can't say enough about. Again, every single member of the board for the chamber, every single member of the board for FENFX. They brought it all together, and they worked amazingly well together. And I am forever grateful. The memories in which they helped create for me, I will treasure. And it was so much fun watching those kids and watching those families and watching the people come through and talking with all the people. It was just such an amazing weekend, honestly. And yes, we do have the theme for next year. And no, I'm not telling anybody yet because Josh has not broken out the graph paper to do it yet.
That's a great look on your face, Josh.
But I will say, there is a surprise in the works for it. And it will be amazing, because when we got home it was just plonked in our lap. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, we're going to run with it.
Yeah. Amazing. Cannot wait to hear what it is. I think my only regret was I did not get an opportunity to take more classes. That is definitely something we're going to have to work on for next year, because that's definitely something
they put on such great classes. The teachers that they get to fill those time slots, every single solitary one of them is amazing. And so not being able to get away from it, I mean, I would love to be able to take the classes, but I think that there is room to figure out how to do that in the future to have more people at the booth. So
yeah. Really, what I need is our third co-host to come with us, so that give us a little more flexibility and people can spread out and go where we need to go. So, John, when you watch this, pay attention.
You're up
next year. You're coming.
That working with Kimberley on decorations and planning was eye-opening, because I've not been in the haunt industry at all until she dragged me into FENFX. As a best friend of 30 years, she was like, you're going to help. And I've enjoyed it. But working under Josh in the haunt construction as well, because you don't hand me a hammer. I just don't do that. But when he installed the cameras, it gave me an eye-opening experience on how people act inside of a haunt.
Yeah.
I could actually watch, with me being in that little drop window, I could pinpoint who not to do, who not to scare, because you could actually tell. And sometimes they did warn me, but sometimes it needed those cameras, not only for safety measures, but to keep an eye on who really shouldn't be scared.
Sure.
And that's one of the things that PhoenFX focuses on, where I could actually watch. And that was, great. I didn't even think about cameras inside. And, that's what, the brains that Josh has is for, besides other things that, setting it all up. It was just really great working with, people with high standards.
No doubt. And I love the way that you picked up on that. Josh, real quick, talk about what cameras you used. I started using Blink last year. I was a little frustrated with it because it would only do like 30 seconds at a time. And so I would get all of the lead up of the people coming into the room, and then it would cut off right before the scare. It was like, come on.
All right. So what we use is the Reolink system. And it is just a bunch of cameras that are powered by the Ethernet. So they call it PoE, or power over Ethernet. And we ran those Ethernet cables through the walls like we did all of our electrical cables. And it coalesces into a what they call an NVR system, which we had back in our little boo closet. And attached to the NVR, of course, is a little mouse and a little screen, and it brings up the cameras. And it's a consistent recording. So it will record as long as it's on. We had the opportunity to record sound if we wanted to, or just the video, but it acts as a like the old DVR systems, the video recorders.
Sure.
And so it's it's nice, safely preserved on a solid state hard drive, and we could pull little bits here and there for advertising effects. Are
you going to pull any of those and do a little compilation of scares video, perhaps for the convention?
We have to advertise next year somehow.
Exactly.
And there are some doozies I'm looking forward to.
Oh, yes. I bet. I can't wait to see it. So excited. Kimberly, give a quick shout out since we're about to wrap up. Give a shout out for where people can find the Chamber of Haunters.
chamberofhaunters.com.
Exactly. And if you want to be notified of a future Lunch and Learn, please go check out the Chamber of Haunters on Facebook, because that is the primary place where these get advertised. Yep, exactly. And of course, please go check out the Haunting You podcast, because we'd love to see you there. You can find us at hauntingyou.com with just the letter U, or of course on our socials, facebook.com/hauntingyou, at Haunting University on Instagram, or at Haunting You on YouTube, where all of these Lunch and Learns end up back on our YouTube page. So Kimberly, Josh, and of course Michelle, Dennis, thank you for your thoughts today on recapping Texas Haunters Convention. It was such a blast. I was glad to finally meet you all in person and experience the Boomount Hotel with you as well, because that was really blast.
And we are very, very grateful that we were there with you.
Same. And everyone else, we will see you at a future.
Have a good one, guys. Bye.
Bye.
The Chamber of Haunters, uniting the haunt industry.